Alaska State Troopers, Season 9, Episode 3, Lost in the Woods, Detailed Summary. The third episode of Alaska State Troopers Season 9, titled Lost in the Woods, takes viewers deep into the rugged Alaskan wilderness, where the state's unique geography transforms even routine police calls into dangerous and unpredictable missions. Covering an area larger than many countries combined, Alaska presents law enforcement officers with challenges unlike anywhere else in the United States. Troopers often patrol hundreds of miles of remote highways, dense forests, mountain ranges, and isolated villages where backup may take hours to arrive. Every call requires careful planning, excellent communication, and the ability to make life-or-death decisions under pressure. In this episode, cameras follow troopers as they search for a naked wolf hunter wandering through the wilderness, pursue a wanted felon who attempts to disappear into thick forest, and respond to disturbing reports of severe animal neglect in a remote village north of the Arctic Circle. Each case demonstrates the extraordinary demands placed on Alaska's law enforcement officers while highlighting the resilience and professionalism required to keep some of America's most isolated communities safe. The episode begins on what appears to be a beautiful summer morning across Alaska. Bright sunlight stretches well into the evening thanks to the state's famous long summer days. But experienced troopers know that pleasant weather does not necessarily mean an easy shift. Dispatch soon interrupts the calm with an unusual emergency call. Several hunters report encountering a man wandering through the wilderness completely naked. According to witnesses, the individual appears confused, disoriented, and unable to explain how he arrived in such a condition. Because temperatures can change rapidly even during summer and wildlife remains an ever-present threat, troopers recognize that the man may be suffering from hypothermia, dehydration, injury, or a mental health crisis. Responding officers begin gathering information from nearby hunters who describe where the man was last seen. Witnesses explain that the individual had been participating in a wolf hunt before somehow becoming separated from his equipment and companions. Nobody can explain why he removed his clothing, but troopers understand. Rather than treating the incident as a criminal matter, officers immediately shift their focus toward locating the missing hunter before the wilderness claims another victim. The search quickly becomes complicated. Thick forests, uneven terrain, and countless animal trails make it difficult to determine which direction the hunter traveled. Troopers coordinate with wildlife officers and local search teams, dividing the surrounding area into manageable sections. Radios remain active as each team reports tracks, discarded clothing, and other possible signs. Officers repeatedly call out in hopes the missing hunter will respond, but the dense trees absorb much of the sound, forcing searchers to move carefully through the wilderness. As hours pass, the operation expands. Search teams discover pieces of clothing scattered along a narrow trail, confirming that the missing hunter likely traveled through the area. Troopers speculate that the individual may have become confused after suffering exhaustion or another medical emergency. Every minute becomes increasingly important because even during summer, prolonged exposure to the elements can become deadly. Officers continue pressing deeper into the forest while remaining alert for bears, wolves, and other wildlife that inhabit the region. Eventually, one of the search teams spots movement near a small clearing. Hidden among tall brush stands the missing hunter, exhausted, dehydrated, and visibly confused. Troopers approach slowly to avoid startling him further. They reassure him that he is safe and carefully assess his physical condition before providing water and emergency medical assistance. Although embarrassed by his condition, the man cooperates fully with officers and is escorted to safety for additional evaluation. The successful rescue demonstrates that Alaska State Troopers frequently serve not only as police officers, but also as search and rescue personnel, responsible for protecting people in some of the harshest environments on Earth. No sooner has that operation concluded than another urgent call reaches dispatch. Investigators have developed information regarding the location of a wanted felon believed to be hiding near a wooded property outside a small community. The suspect is wanted on multiple criminal charges and has reportedly indicated that he does not intend to surrender peacefully. Because officers cannot determine whether the individual is armed, troopers organize a cautious tactical response before approaching the property. Upon arrival, officers quietly establish positions around the area to prevent the suspect from escaping. They attempt to make contact by announcing their presence and instructing the individual to come outside voluntarily. For several tense moments, there is no response. Suddenly, someone is seen running from the rear of the property directly into dense forest. Troopers immediately begin pursuing the fleeing suspect while coordinating their movements through radio communication. The pursuit highlights the unique difficulties of tracking someone through Alaska's wilderness. Thick undergrowth limits visibility, fallen trees create obstacles, and soft ground preserves footprints that can either help or confuse investigators. Rather than chasing recklessly, officers carefully follow signs left behind while attempting to predict where the suspect might emerge. Additional units move into position to block possible escape routes leading toward nearby roads and rivers. As the search continues, officers discover fresh footprints crossing a muddy creek. Branches snapped along the trail indicate the suspect recently passed through the area. Troopers continue advancing cautiously because the individual may attempt an ambush if cornered. Communication remains calm and disciplined as each officer updates the others regarding movement, terrain, and possible sightings. After an extended search through thick forest, one trooper notices movement behind several fallen trees. Officers quickly surround the location and issue loud verbal commands ordering the suspect to surrender. Realizing escape is impossible, the wanted felon slowly emerges with hands raised. The arrest is completed without injury, ending a tense operation that could easily have escalated into violence. Investigators later transport the suspect to jail where outstanding warrants and additional charges related to resisting law enforcement are addressed. The successful capture illustrates the patience and tactical discipline required when pursuing dangerous individuals through Alaska's remote landscapes. The documentary then shifts hundreds of miles north toward one of Alaska's isolated villages located just above the Arctic Circle. Unlike larger towns connected by highways, this community is accessible only through limited transportation routes, making routine law enforcement operations significantly more difficult. Troopers receive disturbing reports involving dozens of neglected animals living under extremely poor conditions. Concerned residents fear the animals are suffering from starvation, disease, and inadequate shelter. After traveling to the village, troopers begin assessing the situation. The property contains numerous dogs and other animals housed in overcrowded enclosures with little food or clean water. Officers carefully document conditions using photographs and video while consulting local officials familiar with animal welfare regulations. The overwhelming number of animals presents a logistical challenge because each must be examined individually before appropriate action can be taken. Troopers speak with the owner, who explains that caring for so many animals has become impossible due to financial hardship and limited resources. While officers recognize the individual's difficult circumstances, they also understand that Alaska law requires owners to provide adequate care. Their priority becomes ensuring the animals receive immediate assistance while conducting a fair investigation into possible criminal neglect. Veterinary personnel and animal welfare volunteers soon arrive to help evaluate each animal's condition. Some require urgent medical treatment, while others are healthy enough to be safely transported to temporary shelters. Troopers assist throughout the operation by organizing transportation, documenting evidence, and maintaining order at the property. The investigation highlights another important aspect of their work that extends well beyond traditional crime fighting. Residents of the village express gratitude that authorities responded despite the community's remote location. Many acknowledge that limited access to veterinary care and supplies creates challenges unique to northern Alaska. But they also agree that animals deserve proper treatment. Troopers emphasize education alongside enforcement, encouraging responsible ownership while ensuring the immediate welfare of the neglected animals remains the highest priority. Throughout the episode, viewers gain a deeper appreciation for the extraordinary diversity of responsibilities handled by Alaska State Troopers. Within a single shift, officers transition from wilderness search and rescue operations to tactical fugitive apprehensions and complex animal welfare investigations. Unlike urban police departments where specialized units often handle individual tasks, Alaska's troopers must be prepared for virtually any emergency regardless of location or circumstance. The documentary repeatedly emphasizes teamwork as the foundation of every successful operation. Dispatchers, wildlife officers, medical personnel, village public safety officers, and local volunteers all contribute valuable expertise. In Alaska's vast landscape, no single agency can manage these challenges alone. Cooperation and communication remain essential for protecting both residents and responding officers. By the episode's conclusion, all three investigations have reached successful outcomes. The missing wolf hunter is rescued before exposure causes life-threatening injuries. The wanted felon is captured after an extensive search through dense forest without anyone being harmed. In the remote Arctic village, neglected animals begin receiving medical attention while investigators continue examining evidence to determine appropriate legal action. Although each case differs dramatically from the others, they share one common theme. Policing Alaska requires extraordinary adaptability, patience, and determination. Every shift can involve criminal investigations, life-saving rescues, or humanitarian missions in locations where nature itself often presents the greatest danger. Lost in the Woods powerfully demonstrates that Alaska State Troopers serve not only as law enforcement officers, but also as rescuers, investigators, and protectors of communities scattered across one of the world's last great frontiers.